Friends and family, how the heck are you guys doing out there? I hope you guys are doing well. My name is Jason. I am one of the 5 gardeners of the Yahoo and the Torah channel. My entire family and I, we do this. We do this because our Messiah asked Kepha, Peter. He said, hey, do you love me? And Kepha goes, yes, we love you. He said, feed my sheep. And again, our Messiah asked Kepha, Peter, do you love me? Peter said, yes. Then our Messiah said, feed our sheep. And he asked him again. He says, Peter, do you love me? And he was broken. Peter was just crushed. He just couldn't believe it. The Messiah, he's like, yes, Messiah. And Messiah says, for the 3rd time, feed my sheep. My friends, we are all sheep. We are all sheep, and we are all learning, and we have all been what I believe is deceived within our own worlds. You know, we are 2,000 years from our Messiah, Yahushua HaMashiach. Jesus the Christ is most saved, but there are no J's in Hebrew. He was not a Greek man. He was not anything, and the J's were not invented until the year 1524. And prior to 1611 in the King James Version of the Bible, they had our Messiah's name as Iesus, Iesus, right? And the one thing that we know is that names don't translate. So if I am Jason and I go to South America, my name doesn't change. I'm still Jason. They don't say it as right as, you know, my brothers and sisters up north and various things. But, you know, this is what it is. And so you are looking at a man whose name is, you know, as you know him as Nehemiah. And definitely not his name in Hebrew. But he came between a couple of books that have been censored out of the Bible. And there's Ezra. Let me show you real quick. We are in, this is where we are at right here. We are in a time when a few of the Israelites were able to leave their Babylonian exile, and we were able to go to Jerusalem. Yahuwah convicted the king, 2 different kings in this stories, that he needed to let the Yahudis, not the Yahudis, but the Israelites, go back to, Yahudis are Jews, and that's only one tribe, is where I was going with that. He let them go back. He says, hey, if you guys know how to do this and want to create a temple for the Elohim of the, you know, the creator, your Elohim, so by do it. And so this is coming to, all of this is here inside of Nehemiah, and it's actually Ezra 2. But it's Veneken Nehemiah Yahu is the guy's actual name. So as we go into this guy, he's a superhero, right? He's a scribe. He is he's not just a weak beta, right? This guy literally he preaches from the Torah. And he even gets physical, right? When people break certain laws and things of the Torah, he will put hands on. And so he's more of a hands-on kind of fella that, look, we will go this way, but if we have to take you outside the gates, we absolutely will. And there's a pattern. And when I say pattern, there is a pattern with the people of our Creator, right? And I believe that you and I are all part of the people that made it out of Egypt back in the day. I believe we are called by no other name than Hebrew people if we keep the laws, statutes, and commands of our Creator and the faith of our Messiah, Yahushua HaMashiach, right? It's a full onslaught. You can't skip scriptures. You can't go bouncing around. You have to read things in context. And I believe you are not going to have one without the other. If we do not have the Messiah to break the curse of the Torah, we are doomed. We are all simply doomed. And so we need our Messiah first and foremost. Now, as we look at this, and we look at some of the power and some of the crazy stuff that our Creator will do, remember the Egyptians. We have water into blood, right? Imagine that, having to go probably outside of Egypt just to get a drink of water because there's no water. And then you have frogs, right? Frogs down here in South America. We have frogs everywhere. There's frogs and snakes and wildlife, and I can't imagine what having just an enormous amount of these would do. It would be horrific. What it gets worse, Lice, right? What about everything? Lice gets everywhere. Every crevice of you, every cattle, everything. It itches. It will not stop. And our Creator did this so he could show a point. And you can't dispute history. And that is the crazy thing about the Bible, is it's a timeline, right? It's a timeline from the very beginning to where we are essentially right now. All the way up to our Messiah, it gives us a timeline. We have the flies. We have the disease on the livestock. And we had unhealable boils, hail, locusts, darkness, and death of the firstborn. And one thing I noticed over here with anyone that has eyes to see and ears to hear, this is actually a swirl, and it looks like a bunch of sixes. I doubt this dude meant it, but I actually just saw this, so I thought I would point that out. But anyway, this is the power of our Creator. And, how much more powerful do you want to get, right? And so the pattern of the people that we're just about to talk about are, I believe, the same pattern of people that we are in today. We know 2 tribes have assimilated supposedly back in Israel, right? We have what they call the Jews today, right? That's only 2 of the 12 tribes. So there's 10 tribes that our Creator has said has been dispersed across the world, right? All you have to do is keep the laws, statutes, and commands of our Creator, and you're in covenant with him, right? You're in an agreement with him. And so if you're in an agreement with him, everything is brighter because you have blessings. And, this is a picture that you guys probably know. This is Mount Sinai, right? This is when our Creator came down and dwelt with us, right? And do you know what happened? We rejected him, right? All the people saw him. They heard the thunderings and the noise and the fire and the crackling. And I'm sure it was just absolutely terrifying. But you know what? If you're in covenant with our Creator, it is incredible to have that kind of power on your standby. And our Creator is a creator of miracles. He listens to prayers. He changes things and will alter things based upon prayers. He will be moved by his people. It says that. And so we have a relationship with our Creator that we keep losing, right? None of us knew what the Torah was. 15 years ago, I had no idea what the Torah was, and I was telling people the laws of God are on the cross, and they do not apply to you. And I was eating my ham sandwiches, and I was being very evil and doing very evil things, and I was just praying the same night for forgiveness because I could always have the blood. I could sin, and I knew I had the blood. I was saved, always saved, and it was all about how many people could you get saved, right? And the Christians don't believe that salvation can be lost. They believe that it's set and forget. And it's very clear in most of the part of the Bible. Matthew 7 says that people will be tossed into hell because of iniquity. And if you don't know what iniquity is, and if I ask you what iniquity is and you don't have an answer for it, then you don't know what it is. And that's dangerous because we will be all judged by the Torah, which we do know or we do not know. And so the routine of this people back in the day, our fathers and the people that came out of Egypt, had this routine, right? They would sin, and then they would call out to our Creator, and he would save them. They would sin, they would call out to our Creator, and it was over and over and over and over. And we don't even care about the laws today, right? We do not care what the law, statutes, and commands of our Creator say. But I would like to urge you guys that not only are the laws, statutes, and commands of our Creator simple to bear, it enhances your life, right? We have learned a lie that the laws of God are hard to bear, and that is a simple lie. My family and I, we all walk in the laws, statutes, and commands of our Creator. And the people will jump on it, and they're like, oh, you're a righteous one. You must be righteous. You must be... Look, one sin is the same as every other sin. We are all sinners, none of us. For all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. We must have our Messiah to break the curse of the Torah. But if we do not have the Torah, we do not know what we're breaking. And so we're going to be breaking stuff and angering our Creator. And our Creator loves us. Do you know how many hairs are on your head? Honestly, who could even know that? But our Creator does, right? Our Creator knows your wants and your needs. And all he asks is that you guys walk his path, that you come to him, that you bring your families to him, that you guys submit to him and you obey him. And when he is the greater, stronger entity of anything and the creator of everything good, why wouldn't you want that goodness in your life? That goodness in your life brings blessings. But many of us out there have absolutely no idea that we have curses, and we've had curses all along because we don't keep the law, statutes, and commands of our Creator. And simply put, there's a lot of people that don't care. You have every brainwashed Christian who has been walked into man-made doctrines that don't make sense when you read the Bible. And we must worship him, right? We must obey him. And if obeying him meant you had to get into a mud suit or get stung by bees every day or something, that would be one thing. But everything that he has given us and told us is for life. It is for the right way forward. It is a gift. You know, we are throwing a gift from our Creator in the trash when we take his laws and dump them in the trash. And I can only urge you guys and beg you for your own souls and for, our Creator loves us. He loves us. He loves you. He wouldn't have sent people like me around to tell you that he loves you, right? And that's just the way it is. He's a good Creator. He does things that are good. And we must understand this, and we've been brainwashed. And so I'm going to bring it to you today that Nehemiah is the man. And this is going to be great. Hang tight with me. So we are going right here. We're going into this. We're going into 9. This is chapter 9, and it's not going to show at the top. But this is beautiful, guys. This is the same problem we are in today, where we go for a little bit and then we turn away. But this is the time. These are the end times when these tribes of Yisrael will be called together. We will be called as a people. Yah's people are being called right now. Look at the evil in the world and know that there is a greater good that is calling all of us, and he will help us, and he will help us with an exodus. I truly believe this, but we must have faith. We must have faith. We must set up this communication link. We must talk to him. How often do you talk to your Creator? Every day, once a month, once a week? When? When is it? Nehemiah 9. Now in the 24th day of this month, the children of Yisrael were assembled with fasting and with sackcloths and earth upon them. And the seed of Yisrael separated themselves from all the strangers and stood and confessed their sins and iniquities of their father. Now, my friends, these people just barely came back from exile. Most of these people had zero idea about the Torah. They are just like you. They were just like me. We had no idea. They had been tricked. They went to Babylon where they had hundreds of different gods and different religions and ways and pagans, but none of them were what they understood and knew. And so they were in sackcloth, right? They were repenting for the sins of their fathers. And the sins of their fathers are not keeping the Torah, right? That is what got them into bondage. That is what got us into bondage. This is why we are here where we are today, and we have masks over our face, and we are slaves. We are slaves to Hasatan right now. And there's nothing but an act of God that is going to save us. And the seed of Yisrael, let's go over this real quick, separated themselves from all strangers and stood and confessed their sins and iniquities of their father. And they stood up in their place and read in the Sefer of the Torah of Yahuwah Elohim 1/4 of the day. And another 4th part they confessed and worshiped Yahuwah Elohim. Guys, this is incredible. These are people who had just found their Creator, and they found the way back because they had found the Torah. So 1/4 of their day, guys, they were reading Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. They were reading the history of their forefathers. How is it that they ended up in bondage? Why were they born into slavery? Because their fathers didn't keep the Torah. 4. Then stood up on the stairs of the Levium, Yeshua and Benai, Kadmiel, Shevanyahu, Buni, I think I slaughter this one every time. Let's do it. Sheravya, Bani, and Kenani, and cried with a loud voice unto El Yahuwah Elohim. Then the Levium, Yeshua, and Kadmiel, Bani, Kashenevya, Sherevya, Hadiyah, Shevanyahu, and Peth-Akyah. Guys, these are really hard to say. I'm so sorry. I'm probably slaughtering. Said, stand up and bless Yahuwah Elohim forever and ever, and blessed be your glorious name, which is exalted above all blessing and praise. And then they go on. And then this is when we're praying. These are things we can talk to our Creator about. We can tell him things just like this. Verse 6, you, even you, are Yahuwah alone. You have made the heavens, the heaven of heavens, with all their host, the earth, and all things that are therein, the seas, and all that are therein, and you preserve them all, and the host of heaven worships you. Right? Are we offering up praises to our Creator in this fashion? These people just came back to the Torah. These people just found the heart and desires and the way forward from our Creator, and they are just ecstatic. You are Yahuwah the Elohim, who did choose Abraham and brought him forth out of Ur of the Chaldean, and gave him the name Abraham, and found his heart faithful before you, and cut a covenant with him. Guys, a covenant is a two-way thing. One person agrees to one thing, one person agrees to the other. You shake on it, and it's a covenant, right? You don't burn your word, right? Your word is your bond. Now, you cut a covenant with him to give the land of the Kiniam, the Chittium, and the Emerim, and the Perizim, and the Yevusim, and the Girgashim. I'm sure I'm slaughtering those. To give it. I say to his seeds, and have performed your words, for you are righteous, and did see the affliction of our fathers in Mitzrayim, and heard their cry by the Red Sea. Right? So these people know the heritage. These are years and years after this. And they know the heritage of it, and they know how good our Creator was. Verse 10, and showed signs and wonders upon Pharaoh. That's why we had the 10 plagues. That's why I showed you guys the power, right? And our Creator said he hardened the heart of Pharaoh so that he could show the world this stuff. And I don't see any of the stuff ever being disputed, right? We know there's a flood. We know of everything the Bible says. Who can go against it? So, middle of verse 10, and he showed wonders upon Pharaoh and on all his servants and on all the people of his land. For you knew that they dealt proudly against them. So did you get a name, as it is this day. And you did divide the sea before them, so that they went through the midst of the sea on the dry land, and their persecutors you threw into the deeps, as a stone into the mighty waters. Verse 12, moreover, you led them in the day by a cloudy pillar, and in the night by a pillar of fire, to give them light in the way wherein they should go. Guys, how can we imagine this, right? It is hard to imagine what these people saw and what they went through. But I believe, and I will witness with the evermost part of my heart, that I believe everything that is in this book is true. There may be translation errors here. There may be certain things, but the base of it is true. That we have a Creator, we have a Creator's Son, we have the Word of our Creator, and we have the Word made flesh created, which is not our Messiah. It's not God becoming our Messiah, right? It is the Son of God that came and walked the Word of God, which is the Torah, right? He walked the Torah perfectly. He is the example that we should live by. And as a human being, he went through the same temptations and the same issues and the same bodily stuff, and he went and he walked it perfectly just to show that it could be done and to become that perfect sacrifice, right? That Levitical priesthood sacrifice. He's our Melchizedek priest, right? He bore our priesthood. He is now our priest. He is also our sacrifice. And a lot of people are like, oh, a God would not make people do that. Well, if you guys remember the faith of Abraham, that he had to do that with Isaac, and he was stopped from doing that. But that is the same gift he gave to us. And if this is the rules that our Creator has created to live by, and what I've noticed about the rules of our Creator is that it is just, right? If you do something bad, there's something that happens, right? You are less blessed. You probably have curses, right? So there's something there. Our Creator is calling all of us into this. Now, this is where it gets important. You came down, and thank you guys for those who stick with me. I know I ramble a lot on this stuff. This stuff is very exciting, and I hope you guys get a little excitement out of this as well, because these are exciting things. When my builder gave me instructions and I discovered they made my life good, it made me happy, and it made, I'm here telling you guys today. You came down also upon Mount Sinai and spoke with them from heaven and gave them right judgments and true laws, good statutes and commandments. And something probably the best thing there, and made known unto them your holy Shabbat, and commanded them precepts, statutes, and laws by the hand of Moshe, your servant, and gave them bread from heaven for their hunger, and brought forth water for them out of the rock for their thirst, and promised them that they should go in to possess the land which you had sworn to give them. Verse 16, but they and our fathers dealt proudly, and hardened their neck, and hearkened not to your commandments, and refused to obey, neither were mindful of your wonders that you did among them, but hardened their necks, and in their rebellion appointed a captain to return to their bondage. But you are an Elohim, ready to pardon, gracious and merciful, slow to anger, and of great kindness, and forsook them not. Guys, and for those who are just coming into the Torah, for those who are in the Torah, right, our Creator has called you. Specifically, you guys, if you guys are here, if you're in his Torah, he has called you, right? And he wants you, and he loves you, and he wants a two-way relationship, and he promises us stuff, guys. He promises us blessings from this. So, right, they forsook him not. Yea, when they had made them a molten calf and said, this is your Elohim that brought you up out of Mitzrayim, and had wrought great provocations. Yet you and your manifold mercies forsook them not in the wilderness. The pillar of the cloud departed not from them by day to lead them in the way, neither the pillar of fire by night to show them light and the way wherein they should go. So this is a Creator who, even though these people made golden calves, they did all sorts of crazy stuff. They kept doing really bad stuff, and at one point they had serpents biting them, and they had plagues, and Moshe, he got angry, he lost his shot into their promised land, and our Creator never said, you know what, forget this. These people are insane. There was a point where he said he regretted creating man, and that should give us all pause for concern, because we're really letting our Creator down. He's given us a mind to think, a body to move, eyes to see, ears to hear, mouth to speak, right? I mean, who can create something better than this? You can't. Verse 20, you also gave your good Ruach to instruct them, and withheld not your manna from their mouth, and gave them water for their thirst. Yea, 40 years did you sustain them in the wilderness, so that they lacked nothing. Their clothes waxed not old, and their feet swelled not. Moreover, you gave them kingdoms and nations, and did divide them into corners. So they possessed the land of Sihon, and the land of the king of Cheshbon, and the land of Og and of Bashan. Their children also multiplied you as the stars of heaven, and brought them into the land, concerning which you had promised to their fathers, that they should go in to possess it. So the children went in and possessed the land, and you subdued before them the inhabitants of the land, the Canaanites, and gave unto them their hands with their kings and the people of the land, that they might do with them as they would. And they took strong cities and a fat land, and possessed houses full of good wells, dug vineyards and olive yards, and fruit trees in abundance. So they did eat, and were filled, and became fat, and delighted themselves in your goodness. And what do they do? What happens? Nevertheless, guys, do you see this cycle that's happening here? Nevertheless, they were disobedient, and rebelled against you, and cast your Torah behind their backs, and slew your prophets, which testified against them, to turn them to you. And they wrought great provocations. Therefore you delivered them into the hand of their enemies, who vexed them, and in the time of their trouble, when they cried unto you, you heard them from heaven, and according to your manifold mercies, you gave them saviors, who saved them out of the hand of the enemies. Guys, the world that we're seeing right here is extremely dire. It doesn't look like a tremendously good future for anybody with eyes to see and ears to hear, right? Bad things are coming to all of us, and there is no way out of this other than a supernatural out of this. And if you have majority of the world, I don't know how many millions of people actually are in this, worshiping Satan, and that have turned the entire world against the people, there has to be a good side to this. Are we led to believe there was only evil in this world? How do we account for creation? I don't think there's any other way. At this time in this life, if you guys have not called upon the name of Yahushua in a prayer to Yahuwah, I strongly suggest that you acknowledge the Son of God, and that he is the way, and that by his blood you are saved. By his stripes you are healed. If we do not acknowledge the Son to begin with, then we're still under the curse of the Torah. And none of us can walk the Torah perfectly. We break it all the time. We break it every day, and we don't mean to. And we need to adjust our lives that we do not break it. If we are still eating unclean foods, I harp on this all the time, because it is an abomination to our Creator. and it's going to make you sick. You're not supposed to ingest the stuff that's clinging up the world. So, therefore, again, you deliver them into the hand of their enemies, who vexed them. And in the time of their trouble, when they cried unto you, you heard them from heaven. And according to your manifold mercies, you gave them saviors who saved them. You're going to have a savior, guys. You will have a savior if you keep Yah in your prayers. But after they had rest, they did evil again before you. Therefore left you them in the hand of their enemies, so that they had the dominion over them. Yet when they returned and cried unto you, you heard them from heaven, and many times did you deliver them according to your mercies. And he's going to deliver you if you are in covenant with him, if you are his people, right? That's why we want to be his people. There's no way out of this except a supernatural exodus. That's where I'm at. Verse 29, and testified against them, that you might bring them again unto your Torah. Yet they dealt proudly and hearkened not unto your commandments, but sinned against your judgments, which if a man do, he shall live in them. And, again, I will always point out the parentheses of the translators popping in what they think is what it's saying. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You got to take for caution things inside of parentheses. He shall live in them, and withdrew the shoulder and hardened their neck and would not hear. Yet many years did you forbear them, and testified against them by your Ruach and your prophets. Yet would they not give ear. Therefore gave you them into the hand of the people of the lands. Guys, this went over and over and over and over. These guys went into captivity, they came out, they kept going in and out. Nevertheless, for your great mercy's sake, did you not utterly consume them, nor forsake them, for you are a gracious and merciful Elohim. Now therefore, our Elohim, the great, the mighty, and the terrible Elohim, who guards the covenant and shows mercy, let not, and again right here, this is an aleph tah. This is the beginning and the end. In the real Hebrew, these little things are in the translations, and it has something to do with like the hand of God or something inside of this text. So let not all the trouble seem little before you that has come upon us, on our kings, on our princes, and on our priests, and on our prophets, and on our fathers, and on all your people, since the time of the kings of Ashur unto this day. So this is them going into a new covenant, right? These guys are going to crack a new covenant because there were certain points where they were sinning worse than just not keeping the Torah. Howbeit you are just in all that is brought upon us, for you have done right, but we have done wickedly. Neither have our kings, our princes, our priests, nor our fathers kept your Torah, nor hearkened unto your commands, and your testimonies wherewith you did testify against them. For they have not served you in their kingdom, and in your great goodness that you gave them, and in the large and fat land which you gave before them, neither turned they from their wicked works. Behold, we are servants this day, and the land that you gave unto our fathers to eat of the fruit thereof, and the good thereof, behold, we are servants in it, and it yields much increase unto the kings whom you have set over us because of our sins, right? They're complaining. They're like, look, this is your land. You gave it to us, and now we're serving other people. They're coming back, right? They're repenting. They're looking for an exodus. Also, they have dominion over our bodies and over our cattle at their pleasure, and we are in great distress. What does this sound like today, guys? Does this sound like today at all? They have dominion over our bodies and over our cattle at their pleasure, and we are in great distress. Absolutely. Hallelujah. We absolutely are in distress. We are a people that sees what is coming, and the kingdom is coming. We are not to live in fear. These things must come to pass. Right? It's going to be scary. It's going to be spooky. But you know what? It will come and it will pass. So let's finish up. Let's wrap up. I have an awesome wrap up on this. And because of all this, we cut a sure covenant and write it. And our princes, Levium, and priests seal into it. All right, what are these people going to do? Right? They just found the Torah. They just found out what they were supposed to be doing. These people had a problem with marrying outside people they weren't supposed to marry into the giant genomes and other unknown DNA, right? They were supposed to stick to the DNA they know. So chapter 10 in Nehemiah, these are all these people right here. But don't hang up on me yet. Don't hang up on me. We're almost done, guys. These are all the people that took and signed, right? These are the people that signed a new covenant, a new thing. And you know what they did? This is what it says. And the rest of the people, the priests, the Levium, the porters, the singers, the Nethium, and all that had separated themselves from the people of the lands unto the Torah of Elohim, their women, their sons, and their daughters, everyone having knowledge and having understanding, right? All of a sudden, they just went, bam, I get it. I get it. The Torah is our guideline to life that we are supposed to love, live, and shout, right? We are supposed to let people know this is the right way forward, right? There's a lost set that we are held to so that we don't become evil in the sight of our Creator. Verse 29, they cleaved to their brethren, their nobles, and entered into a curse and into an oath to walk in Elohim's Torah, which was given by Moshe, the servant of Elohim, and to guard and do all the commandments of Yahuwah Adonai, and his judgments and his statutes, right? His laws, statutes, and commands. Those are our guides to life. And that we would not give our daughters unto the people of the land, nor take their daughters for the sons, right? So the very first thing when they cut this brand new covenant with their Creator, they said, we got this. We're going to be doing this. We want to walk, the very first thing, to walk in Elohim's Torah, right? That's the beginning of it. When you walk in Elohim's Torah, then you have a way to compare what needs to be compared. You will know what sin is because you can address it inside of the Torah. 31, we're almost done, guys. And if the people of the land bring ware or any victuals on the Shabbat to sell, Nehemiah the prophet will beat them up. No, that we would not buy it of them on the Shabbat or on the holy day, and that we would leave the seventh year and the exaction of every debt. Right? So basically, they're just doing what the Torah says to do. We're supposed to have a Jubilee year. We're supposed to have a seventh year for our land that is on a calendar where we let it rest and we don't work the land. And we're supposed to get, we're supposed to return debts. If people borrow money, we're supposed to clear it, right? There's a system for all of this. So, they also, on verse 32, they had made ordinances for us to charge ourselves yearly with a third part of a shekel for the service of the house of Elohim, for the showbread, and that money, they're taxing themselves a third of a shekel, and that goes to the priest for food. I'm sure if you had an oxen or something that was an animal that could be slaughtered, you could probably offer that up. But if not, if it's a third of a shekel for a year, I don't know what that is, but that seems fairly cheap because it buys the showbread for the continual oblation. It's a continual smoke, right? And in our Creator, we are built in the image of our Creator. So if we smell wonderful things and goodies and things of that nature, our Creator likes to smell that same stuff and to appease the evil that we do, because there must be a fix for the wrong. That was it, right? So they were ascending smoke offering of the Shabbats, of the new moons, for the feast sets, and for the holy things, and for sin offerings, to make an atonement for Yisrael and for all the work of the house of our Elohim. So, my friends, as I wrap this up, again, for those who have stuck it out with me, much love to you guys. A fearmonger, you say you stick it out to the end, much love to you, brother. And anyone else out there, these are hard messages to hear for some people because this is very new. And being in a religion of, Christianity, it's easy, right? You can do what you want, and we always have a card. We have a card we can get out of, but I do not believe that is the walk and talk that we should be. We shouldn't be of the world. We must be separated from the world. And if you're watching movies and doing things outside of your family, even watching, bringing movies into your house, you're corrupting the minds, hearts, and souls of the kids. There's nothing good on TV that you're ever going to find. And it's programming. It is why the world is where it is at right now, because the one-eyed sleep snatcher has full control. So guys, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I hope you guys are getting something out of this. Much love to everybody out there. I'm out.